Welcome back to Talk to Al Jazeera. Our guest today, Ismail Haniyeh, the Palestinian Prime Minister here in Gaza. You were optimistic about the Obama administration, but there's been a change of tone. Are you disappointed?
الأفعال حتى هذه اللحظة لا تبشر بأن هناك.
Up to the moment, deeds are not indicating that US foreign policy has changed, specifically with respect to the Palestinian question. The recent US stance over Israel's settlement construction is indicative of a grave setback in this respect and is signaling the US' continuous tendency to embracing Israel's positions. That, for sure, has dealt a blow to those who had accorded much hope to the settlement plan, and that the US administration could pave the way for restarting negotiations. Instead, they felt desperate and demoralized. In the first instance, we've shown a balanced attitude, bearing in mind that there is a US-Israeli strategic alliance, that even a US president would be incapable of making a breakthrough in such attitudes. This is with deep regrets what has been proved by the current realities. While the US president is still on his first year of presidency, with 3 more years ahead, we are hopeful that he would contemplate the situation and reassess his country's policies. We are hopeful that the US president would reconcile his own thinking with his speeches and attitudes he had announced before or after winning the elections. The US president has voiced many balanced attitudes, but we hope he would seek to implement those ideas. So far, we cannot see any change.
Would you say there's a difference of opinion between European countries and the US when it comes to dealing with Hamas?
We cannot speak about European countries in name, but we do have relations and contacts with many European countries, namely Sweden. Besides, we have also received Swiss, German, British and Italian delegations, and from other countries. Some of our visitors used to tell us they were visiting Gaza on their own and that they were not representing their country's governments. But we are aware that politics begins by unofficial contacts that develop into relations through official channels. Alternatively, some of the visitors arrive in their official capacities as envoys to their governments, but ask to remain anonymous by declining to talk to the media outlets to help make their missions a success. We have no problem with all that. There is a range of variations, as some European countries enjoy more freedom. But frankly speaking, the European stance is lacking the courage for making a breakthrough in its relations with us. Some European countries are governed by the US ceiling in this respect. But many European countries which had visited us, or those we hear about, believe in the incorrect stance taken against the government of the Palestinian people and Hamas movement. They also believe that the quartet conditions were illogical and that they were merely based on political motives, while deliberately ignoring the elections process that was held in the Palestinian territories.
People in Gaza have been living under a crippling siege, and many say that this is a price they've paid as a result of Hamas's political rigidity. Is it worth all of that?
المشكلة هي كمان مش بالحصار وبس، الحصار شيء منبثق عن جذر المشكلة الاحتلال.
The problem is not only caused by the blockade, which is an offspring of the Israeli occupation. We, as Palestinian people, are facing the problem of occupation. Our problem is that we are an occupied territory, a homeless people for more than 60 years.
لذلك حينما نقيس قضية الحصار على خطورتها.
This is why when we judge the issue of the siege, despite its seriousness and the tragedy it is causing, such as the Palestinians in the diaspora, which is a more serious problem.
وهي مشكلة إنه الملايين من أبناء شعبنا غير قادر على أن يعود إلى بيته.
The problem is that millions of our people are unable to return to their homes or to their farmland. We cannot depict the siege as resulting from the positions taken by Hamas, but in fact was a result of Israel's mentality that opts for killing the Palestinian people. In the West Bank, the situation is no better than the Gaza Strip, where we are suffering from the blockade.
صحيح، لكن انظر إلى الضفة الغربية وإلى السياسات الإسرائيلية
Just look at the West Bank and the Israeli policies there, including the separation wall, the Judaization of Jerusalem, the continuous settlement construction, the existence of hundreds of roadblocks, the crackdowns and the nightly arrests. The major element of Palestinian suffering is attributed to the Israeli occupation.
يعني الحصار لا ننكر بأنه هو وسيلة عقاب جماعي ضد
The blockade is a means for collective punishment against Palestinian people because they exercise their democratic rights. This is not a Palestinian people's problem or a Hamas problem. The problem lies with those who had alleged to be democratic and to respect democracy, but in fact had renounced all democratic principles and rules. The problem does not lie in expressing your people's aspirations or sticking to your rights.
The Goldstone report says there's evidence of war crime committed by both Israel and Hamas. What are you doing to investigate some of these allegations?
بدأنا بالتحقيق. شكلنا نحن لجنة وهذه اللجنة سوف تباشر عملها رسميا بعد إجازة العيد.
We have already begun the investigation. We have formed a committee which will undertake its official duties after the Eid holidays. We do not have any problems with accessing the facts pertaining to such behavior, which had emerged as a result of paper shuffling under the intensity of the war on Gaza. It was not the government that did that. Some forces had done that. There was paper shuffling during the war because the headquarters of security units were bombarded. Moreover, we do not want to cast lights only on this side and ignore the major part of the report which tackled the war and war crimes committed by the Israeli occupation.
وأنا بعتقد أنه هذا كان في رد على أولئك الذين قالوا بأننا نحن يعني.
We do appreciate Goldstone and have welcomed his committee, for which we have paved the way and cooperated with. We had formed a ministerial committee for cooperating with Goldstone and his team. He has also praised the role played by the Palestinian government.
What do you have to say about allegations by human rights organizations that Hamas is clamping down on people who have different political opinions and is using torture at times in jails?
أؤكد لك بطلان هذه الادعاءات.
I am reaffirming that these are baseless allegations. We do not base our relations with our people on force. You are saying there is security and stability in Gaza throughout your stay in Gaza for 1 month and a half. With respect to our relations with human rights organizations, we enjoy good relations with them. While we keep in contact, they are also in contact with government security units. We keep receiving those organizations on regular basis in the Prime Minister's office headquarters, where we listen to their views and advice. They are playing a good role in this respect. We are not in conflict with those organizations. We do respect political multi-party system. We do respect our forces and our factions. We do respect the territory, the inhabitants, the dignitaries and the independent people. But some individuals who have tendencies to tamper with the law by committing some acts that affect the state of general security, we do handle such cases, but only under the law.
How do you assess Hamas's performance since it came to power here in Gaza?
صعب الإنسان أن يقيم نفسه. يفترض أن الناس تقيمه.
It's difficult for anyone to assess his performance, as it is assumed that other people are capable of doing that. But I'm saying that we had politically remained steadfast and have run the Strip on the basis of transparency and integrity. Our hands have not been contaminated with mismanaging public funds. We have not had shares in other people's property. We did not jeopardize their interests. We have maintained security in the Strip, something that remained missing for the past decades. Whoever looked at the Strip domestically or externally had believed that it was impossible to maintain security and stability in Gaza. We have supported our Palestinian people during the siege, despite the meagre capabilities and assistance we had, though we had offered assistance to laborers, farmers and fishermen. we had shouldered our responsibilities during the war on Gaza and ruled the Strip without a breakdown or chaos, despite the first airstrike that hit the Strip. Directly after the war, we have offered the owners of devastated homes nearly $60 million worth of emergency aid. We have offered the most we could, but in the end, we are a human government. The nature of human governments, similar to humans, is that they are subject to doing both right and wrong and will never reach perfection. But the social image is reassuring in its political and domestic dimensions, while I am personally proud of our model, despite all attempts for defaming and undermining our experience, along with the talk on Gaza and the Emirates image some people conceive of. But Gaza, in my belief, is a ray of light as regards the steadfastness, besides the graduation of thousands of Quran recitation scholars.
من حيث الصمود من حيث إنه إحنا خرجنا آلاف من حفظة القرآن.
Thank you very much for talking to us here on Al Jazeera.